Can you repeat that? I'm sorry. I had
Awesome.
I have had a very great Tuesday.
Yeah.
You've had a good Tuesday?
So they're moving in tomorrow, and it's a client from the coalition. So I'm going to get some agency money. So that'll be nice to have on-time rent payments.
Oh, ugh. Late tenants. I know the feeling. Have them pay on time. The agency money is good money too. They'll pay like 3 to 6 months up front. To anybody who's not aware, great program. You just got to vet the tenant just like you would any other.
Right. Yeah. We're having them go through like the application process and stuff, but they're going to move in tomorrow. So, yeah.
Like during COVID, I mean, we took a ton of people with that because they were paying like 3 months in advance rent.
Great.
It was security deposit plus 3 months. But there were a lot of people who had evictions, violent past, like and recently violent past, like 1 year will go felony. So it's just make sure you just do your vetting process. Okay. So we are live. Welcome everybody. If you're watching from YouTube, welcome as well. Let me all right. Let's get started. Seth.
Sounds good. Talk about fix and flips. Give you all an update on the one that we just finished up as well, but just some good practices going into the fix and flip and then things to watch out for. But first and foremost, for anybody who doesn't know me, if you're watching on YouTube or watching later on, my name is Seth Timmerman. I've been investing in real estate since 2019 or so. I am located in the Morgantown market, and I started Mountaineer RIA here locally to bring together everybody locally and network. And from that came this. So now every week, Ray and I get together and we talk about real estate. I actively invest in small to medium multifamily, but also do a lot of wholesale and fix and flip and doing a little bit of everything. Um, I was adding it up actually because we were talking about the different deals. I've completed 63 flips since 2019
Wow. Congratulations.
in some way, shape, or form. So I know a little bit about this subject. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm a master, but I know a little bit about it.
Congratulations, Seth. That's a big accomplishment. Um, Ray Glimpse, homeless to over 100 doors, real estate investor, full-time real estate investor. I've spent my whole day today real estate investing. We do passive and we do active. So whether it be fix and flip, buy and hold, a little bit of everything, Airbnb, some arbitrage, know a little bit about everything. So happy to be here each and every Tuesday for free with you folks and help you learn and continue to be educated in this space. So happy to be here.
Very real quick. Views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any organization. Content provided is for informational purposes only and should not be taken as professional, legal, medical, or financial advice. Listeners are encouraged to conduct their own research and consult with appropriate professionals before making any decisions based on the information provided in this podcast. And any reliance you place on such information is strictly at your own risk.
Great. One of our favorite segments, Gold Diggers. We'll keep it short and sweet today. If you've had any successes, we'd love to hear from you. Successes or goals that you want to hit as well. We'd love to hear from you.
Can I go?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, we've had like a crazy week. So yesterday, literally all day, I was like 9 hours I racked up with plumbing. Oh my gosh. So we've got like a big like framing structural project going on, and some plaster fell on one of my supply lines and water was going everywhere. And so I had to rush out there and like do this like plumbing work and stuff and like reconnect some lines. And anyway, we did end up calling plumbers and they said I did everything right. It's just CPVC. Sometimes it just comes apart. So anyway, they replaced it with PEX, but I got a good job from like a master plumber. So that was like really like, oh my God. Okay. And then we got one of our last available unit got leased today. And yeah, that's it.
That's great news. How's your framing going?
Awesome.
I'm sorry, my kids are making so much noise. What did you say?
Don't worry, we'll talk. We'll talk tomorrow in our inner circle call. All right, great. Anybody else any goals that they wanted to accomplish? They want to talk about before we move on?
Super proud of Clarissa during dinner time, dealing with the kids, right? Doing the mom
Yeah.
thing and stuff like that, still carving out time to come every single week. We absolutely appreciate it. And that's the dedication. That's where you're going to find success is dedication like that. So it's awesome.
Yeah.
And a lot of you guys are here almost every single week. We appreciate it for sure.
Yeah, a lot of people putting forth time and effort. So we love to have everybody here. Continued education is what we're about, and we show it each and every Tuesday too. Let's go on to some of our breaking news. Okay, so this was some of the biggest headlines today. Tariffs throughout the week have been destroying the stock market. If you've already invested in stocks, I wish Abraham was on, but they have been destroying the stock market. There's just a new release of an aluminum tariffs and 50% of retaliation. So for my Canadians, I'm out there. I feel for you. It's gonna be rough, right? Especially to the consumers looking to buy cars, right? Anything steel, aluminum, prices will go up. I don't think there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Prices will go up. And then what is good for the market is the Ukraine agrees to U.S. led ceasefire. So that will be good. Some stability, something good news. I feel like we haven't had much good news recently in this past 2-3 weeks. It's all been like bad news. So some good news is great to have. But we do have another article, which is very important. I cannot.
Share my sound.
Yeah, okay.
As a percentage of income, that debt load has mostly been manageable. High debt, but guess what? We can afford it. But now some of that is beginning to change. For more on both the housing and car stories, let's bring in Diana Olick and Phil LeBeau. Diana, let's start with you. What are you seeing in one particularly, call it fragile part of the mortgage market?
Well, Brian, the mortgage delinquency rate, has been really low for nearly a decade. And aside from a very brief jump at the start of the pandemic before those government forbearance programs, it's now sitting at just 3.98% overall, that according to the Mortgage Bankers Association. Compare that to just over 10% back in 2010 during the subprime crisis. The mortgage landscape, I'm saying, is quite healthy with one major red flag. FHA loans, their delinquency rate, while always higher, has been rising recently, now hitting 11.3%, and that is the highest since 2013. Here's why.
All of the stresses in life we're seeing right now, a little bit of softening in the job market. We're seeing big jumps in insurance premiums as a result of all of the hazards out there, whether they be wildfires, hurricanes, what have you. All of that leading to some stress.
FHA attracts first-time buyers with lower incomes and credit scores. The FHA down payment requirement is just 3.5%, and borrowers can carry higher debt compared to their income, that's so-called DTI. And that's because FHA borrowers have to pay mortgage insurance. But FHA recently lowered that insurance premium, which brought in more borrowers. That resulted in higher credit levels of the entire program, but that debt to income is still very high, and that's because of inflation and affordability, high home prices. The MBA is also reporting a big jump in buyers of newly built homes going to FHA. It's gone from 10% just a few years ago to 30% today. And I'll say it again, Brian, because of high home prices.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, there is a lot to unpack there. If there's 10 people in this room now, one of them cannot pay their mortgage based on this number. That's pretty scary to think about, right? During the crash of 2008, that number I think went up to like 14 or maybe 15%, and to be at 11%, it's pretty scary to think about. And I think it's only going to get worse as we start to look upon it. Now, people do have more equity than ever before versus 2008, but I start to worry about what does this do to FHA loans, right? Does it put a constraint on it? Do they tighten lending requirements? Um, During recessions, usually banks slow down on their lending. So is that another cause and effect that could arise? So definitely something I'm going to personally keep a lookout on for this.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, it's not everybody in the flipping world, but I know that people, tying it in with today, um, that first time home buyer price range, no matter what market you're in, that tends to be like the bread and butter for fix and flippers.
Mhm.
Because there's just more people in the market. When you get into the higher end homes, like the median price in this market's like what 320 or something like that.
Yeah.
So like 700 to a million, that is a niche market, and the buyers are a lot less. But in that 250 to 300 range, that is 100% right in line with what everybody's doing. So that's where, as a flipper in this market, you try to stay with the most buyers. So flippers are going to deal with not necessarily having as many qualified buyers and things sitting on the market, maybe a little bit longer, paying higher rates when they talk about their hard money and stuff like that as well, longer holding costs. So there's a lot of things to think about on that side. I looked it up. It says, as of November 2023, the FHA insured a portfolio containing approximately 7.81 million mortgages.
Yeah. So that's 700,000 people, almost
Exactly.
800,000 people who are delinquent on their mortgage.
Exactly.
A lot.
Well, it's 11%, so it's probably over 800,000.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about that there are that many people right now that can't afford their mortgage. Well, we mentioned it here on the channel past few weeks is when people are buying new. Now, she mentioned that portfolio went up from 10% to 30%. So when people are buying new and then they get those spikes in insurance or a spike in tax assessment, right? Does that change things? I know of a lot of people, and I see a lot of people on social media when they see that tax assessment, they're like, I can't afford this, and that changes your whole view of the property.
I think that's probably more of a contributing factor than even they let on.
Yeah.
Going from 10% of new home prices to 30%. Um, Whether you're buying a brand new home or not, just understand, like, when you're going from a renter, first time home buyer, into owning a house, like, you learn where Lowe's and Home Depot are very quickly,
Hmm.
right? Whether it's just prettying up the yard, or putting in furniture, or painting walls different ways and stuff like that. Like, now you're responsible for all of those things.
Yeah.
And so for first time home buyers, not knowing that, picking up these things, it's not surprising that they're maxing out and stuff like that.
Yeah. A lot of people max out on their credit cards. A lot of people have delinquency. So when we see FHA loan delinquencies, before this, you start looking at, hey, what are the car delinquencies? Right. So what are those? If FHA is at 11, are car delinquencies at 18, 20?
Yeah, right.
Those are like the warning signs of being in a recession. But on a positive, as an investor, it's the opportunity. Right. So where can I find opportunity? How can I help somebody? People are delinquent on their FHA loans. Maybe that's a great way to come in.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. You would think, until you start seeing prices and values drop, like similar to something in 2008, which it won't be. I think it's I mean, it's obviously it's going to be area specific, but from everybody that I've talked to over the last couple of years, that kind of talked about what's happening here and what the thoughts are about, this real estate bubble per se. Um, is that you'll see a stabilization. You may see a plateau or even a slight decline, but you're not going to see anything like 2008. And so any type of growth that's happened with these folks, they're going to have some equity, right? Depending on how long that those mortgages have been in place. If those FHA mortgages were put in place 3 years ago, 4 years ago, they absolutely are going to have equity, and they're also going to have a highly attractive rate. And so learning about things like subject to and buying creatively and stuff like that is a huge opportunity. Like I said, we have started in my business going after that pre-foreclosure market a little bit more because of the updates that Ray and I have been putting on every single week and stuff like that, just seeing this increase in mortgage delinquency. And right now, I talked to her on Monday, my VA that does all the stuff. She's pulling for the state of Virginia. She's pulling anywhere between 10 to 25 new listings a week.
Mm. And you got to think about all these student loans that are coming out of forbearance. You know, some of these loans FHA loans might have been in forbearance, or they might have had like an extended pay period where they paid a lower amount for a couple months. I've seen that happen before too, and now everything's current. You know, so just things to be on the lookout for. As investors, things we want you folks to remember and know and be aware of.
Yeah.
All right. So fix and flip mastery. These are some of the most basic keys to success on every flip. Okay. Number one, can't stress it enough, buy right. You buy wrong, the market cannot save you. You have to buy right. Right. That is like the investor number 101. You have to buy right. Number two, location, location, location. Now, if you buy wrong, but you buy in the right location and you hold it long enough, sometimes the market could save you. Right. So location is very important as well. Watch your comps. Know where your market is going. Very important. Whether it's going up, down. Is the market, what are your days on market? I think that's very important to know. Renovate to your price point in comps. All right. So if you have $100,000 or $200,000 house, you want to renovate it different from what you would do a $600,000 or $700,000 house. Total difference. Right. And know that going in. Hold the people accountable for timelines. Steph and I, we've worked on several scopes of work. We know what the timeline needs to be. And there's consequences if you don't hit that timeline. So you want to make sure that you do hold that timeline, hold yourself accountable for that timeline. Account for your holding costs. Whether you have a lender, private money, you want to make sure that you know what your holding costs are going to be when you start this project and when you end the project as well, right? And then always communicate with your contractors and partners daily. Have that talk, stay up to date, know what's going on. A lot of times the problems happen because there's a lack of communication, and they can easily be fixed with communication. So understand all of these will make you very successful. You can only if you hit 5 out of 7, you'll still be all right. Right?
I don't know.
If you don't account for your holding costs, but you buy it right, you'll be all right. You'll be all right. You can make it. Right? You're not going to be as successful. You want to hit all of these. Right?
But if you forget your holding costs and you over renovate, even if you bought it right,
throw it out the window. Throw it out the window. It's over.
Maybe you need 6 out of 7.
Yeah, 6 out of 7 is fine. You got to hit these though. These are going to be if you want to fix and flip a property or buy and hold the property. Even buying and holding, these are still the same techniques that you need to understand as an investor.
Yep, absolutely. It's any renovation, right? Whether you're renovating to do a burr or renovating just to put Section 8 tenants in and hold long term, or whether you're doing the fix and flip, whether it's a high end flip or whether it's an entry style home flip, it does not matter. All of these, I put equal weight on all 7 of them, honestly. I can make a point that, if you're not watching the comps in the area, you're not watching your days on market and things of that nature, you can find a great deal and buy it, buy it great, and then end up having to sit on it because you didn't see that, 10 houses just hit the market in your exact area, 10 exact comps, and all of them are priced $20,000 lower than what your ARV was, right? Yeah. And instead of you looking at them and looking at how they did their properties and adjusted your scope of work to maybe not go as heavy in the kitchen or as heavy in that master bathroom, by not making those decisions, you spent more time on your project, you spent more money on your project, and now all your competition is $20,000 less. And in this market, $20,000 less is, it's what, damn near $100 a month.
Yeah, it's significant.
That's huge for people.
significant. So these are all steps I think every investor should consider. Buy and hold, specifically fix and flip. We're going to talk about tonight. I know some people have asked about how to do a fix and flip, so kind of hint on this a little bit. Everything in real estate is a flip at the end of the day. So understanding this is going to be quintessential.
Yep, I agree.
So mistakes people usually make. Overpaying for the property. Number one mistake I see most investors make over and over again is they overpay. I see Clarissa waving. Yeah, they overpay. Number two is underestimating the repairs. Right? You think it's going to cost 50 and then you're into it for 100 and you're stretched way too thin. Then it starts affecting your personal life, personal relationships, and it's very upsetting at that point, right? So you need to know what your repairs are going to be from the beginning, how much you need to pay for this, what your ARV is. These are all numbers you need to know going in. Things you can't really compensate is a bad contract relationship. Things can go sour mid-project, all right? But you want to make sure that you maintain whatever relationship you have with a contractor. Try to keep it on up and up to push through the project. Off-track budget and timeline. This works with your contractor mainly, or unless you're GCing it, this is going to be a contractor problem, right? They find stuff and they're like, oh well, this is going to be an extra $5,000, $10,000. If you didn't budget for that, you're in trouble, right? You're gonna have to pay for that. If they're moving slow, right? And that's why we set time requirements from the beginning. Over renovating. So if you're in a C class, if you're in that 200,000 and you're like, you know what, I really want to put granite countertops. I really want to put, this type of hardware, and maybe we should add a bathroom here, and doing things that might not get you that bump up in value, you are over renovating, right? I really should finish the basement. Is the basement really going to bring you any value? Is the market going to bear that? Okay. Bad financing terms. So going with the wrong financing definitely can hurt. Financing get really expensive. I just left the contractor or got off the phone with a contractor. His term was they had a house he had to refinance because of the market. He wasn't prepared. He was paying $6,000 a month in holding costs. Yeah. Right. Crush you. I'm not talking about you. This is just real life. This is real life. And I mean, you're going through it, but it's real life. And these are the things that we help people, we don't want you to fall for these traps. But he's paying $6,000 a month in holding costs. He said he finally got an offer and he's just happy to take the offer so he can get that off his plate, which I can't blame him. And finally, lack of liquidity to get the work done. This is monopoly in real life, ladies and gentlemen. You run out of money, it's game over. Right? And I don't talk about this enough, but eventually, if you run out of money, then it becomes you mortgage your property, right? You have to refinance the property. You can get loans, but then you mortgage your property, right? And eventually, you run out of help. And eventually, the bank wins, right? It's not the job. The bank doesn't want to win. They want you to win, but they win, and they take everything. And that is what you never want. So liquidity is key. You have to have the reserves for what if, know what will happen what if. Because a lot of times, even with some of this stuff, if you got money, you can kind of fight your way through it, right? You can get to the end if you got money. But we see a lot of people, the lady we met today, Steph, she's at the end of her Monopoly game. She doesn't have the money. She just needs to walk away.
Yep.
Right. And sometimes walking away from a property might be your best bet.
She needs to walk away from her property, and the number that she gave us was $70,000, which honestly is $35,000 more than what the formula tells me and Ray we should pay for.
Yeah.
And I think that I think 35 is aggressive, not conservative.
I would pay like 15, 20. If I want.
And if she walks away at 70, she's taking a $70,000 to $80,000 loss.
Yeah.
Like that's the realistic side of where she is in the situation. And it's unfortunate, right? And I feel her pain. Like she got taken advantage of by a business partner that left her high and dry. And I mean, just all kinds of horror stories that this lady's going through. And Ray and I left a conversation saying, if we can help in any way, shape, or form, just let us know. right? Like we're here to help you. I mean, that's why I'm in this business, is to be able to help people. But she's a perfect example. She had bad financing terms, um, and had to refinance. She's actually financed the house like 6 different times. Um, Budget timeline, right? She's got these grand ideas for this house because it's got some exposed logs in one section of it, and she wants to make it a focal point. She's done a whole bunch of crazy things to the house that she would have never done. She was estimating like 75 to $100,000 worth of repairs on the house. And today she was like, realistically, this is $200,000 worth of renovations, right? She overpaid for the house because she got sucked into buying at an auction with competition. Like she hit a
Well, here's
lot of
the other
these
thing
mistakes.
about that is she's emotionally attached to the house.
Yes.
And
And
if you-
rightfully so. She's owned it for 5 years and she's put blood, sweat, and tears into it. I get it.
But we can't buy with emotion. We always teach out out here, don't buy with emotion. It is a numbers-based game. She bought with emotion, solely emotion. Her weakness was her daughter. She wanted a house for her daughter. And her game plan, and she wanted us to see her vision. At the end of the day, I go on so many tours and viewings, and everybody wants me to see their vision. But I don't see your vision, right? I have my own vision. So you can share your vision with me. But to me, and this is what a market determines what your property is really worth, because I only care about what my vision is. And if it doesn't align, then I won't pay that. So I think that's very important. And hopefully we're able to help her, but it's going to be a hard lesson for her. And we don't want any of you to make that same mistake in this room.
I deal with that all the time in my wholesale business, talking with sellers like that, talking with tired landlords, talking with failed flippers. We've helped a lot of people out of situations like that, in that side of my business. And every story, these are all very, very common things that happen.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I think all of them can be avoided, right? It's just a matter of, each one has its own individual kind of story behind it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're all totally unique. Well, let's show you guys a good fix and flip.
Yeah.
Enough about the bad. So this is if you've been following on Instagram or TikTok or anything, this is my 30-day. Seth and I, we did a 30-day flip. This it's kind of like the push. I just want to do these, just 30 days in and out. Every flip, 30 days in and out. Right? I don't know. Did we set a goal for how many we want to do this year?
No, I think we set a number, right?
I don't recall.
You're
Okay.
terrible at setting goals.
I am. I need to write it down. I'm terrible. All right. But nonetheless, I think we can do 12 this year. I think that's the goal. One a month would be ideal. We're a little bit behind, but we'll catch up in the next 2. So if you look, the value is in
To finishing them by December is going to be tough, but we're almost halfway there.
Yeah.
To 12 this year.
Yeah. But the value in these, ladies and gentlemen, is seeing beyond what people see, right? So when we walked in this house, the smell was the number one thing. There was dog poop on the floor. It might be some poop in some pictures, actually. And pretty much someone had lived there and they had a renter in there. Tire landlord, renter, and the people pretty much destroyed the house, right? But what we saw was, this isn't that bad, right? And so this is one of my favorite kinds of fix and flips, is we call it lipstick on a pig, right? We just need to fix some of the main, the smaller things. As long as there's no major issues, we can do really well. And when we think major issues, I think roofing components, I think plumbing, I think electric, and I think of any like large gas has to come into any bigger cost. Anything over 4,000 to 5,000 per item is a big item.
Yep.
So
yeah, this is kind of the definition of what a cosmetic flip looks like. They are 100%. They're my favorite to do as well. But if you guys are looking and you're talking to wholesalers or you're looking on like Facebook Marketplace and cosmetic repairs and stuff like that, that's a huge keyword that you're going to see. If it's looking worse than this, right? If you need to go and replace the roof, if you need to replace HVAC, if you need to rewire a house, if there's structural issues, right? It's no longer a cosmetic flip. This is a quick and dirty 30 days in and out cosmetics only.
Yeah. And so when we say cosmetic, nothing changed structurally about it too. The room stayed the same way. The whole layout is pretty much the same. We added a cabinet here or there, but the layout stayed the same as well.
Yep.
So here's our numbers. I know everybody likes to talk numbers, and we want to be transparent with you guys. So we purchased this for $80,000, right? We actually did creative finance, so that is an asterisk on it. So we had cash to close. To get this thing to close was $2,000, $2,050, all right? Renovation materials, $9,500. So that's paint, flooring, appliances, fixtures, trim, all the little stuff pretty much that we had to do. So I put us in 9,500. Renovation labor, that's electric, plumbing, windows, flooring, painting, landscapers, HVAC was about $11,000. Our staging costs, which staging and photos are very important when you're doing a fix and flip. Staging is probably going to be one of the most important things to make your place come to life. All right, hold on, let me let somebody in. And then our holding costs. So we have, and that's something that you never want to underestimate because that can come back and bite you. You're going to have insurance, utilities, any interest on that. And then we'll get some drawbacks too. There's some money coming back from utilities because you have to pay a security deposit. So you want to make sure that you account for all of these costs when you do start your fix and flip. But this is what our numbers ended up costing us. Okay.
Yep. We did a lot of stuff with, we sat down and went through and built everything out on Lowe's, and it's like, let's check this on Amazon, things like that, right? And ordered a lot of things on Amazon versus ordering things directly from Lowe's. And little things like that. I mean, we saved probably $400 or $500 going that route and doing that. And so you can absolutely find ways to make extra money if you're going to put the time and effort into it, right? You can also just have a contractor do it all for you, pay a little bit more in the total renovation of the project and stuff like that, and be kind of hands off. It's kind of up to you on what you want to do. Ray and I are full time, right? So we don't have anything better to do than surf Amazon for light switches and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
saves us a lot of money though. Saves us a lot of
absolutely.
money. And you think about the stuff that we bought too. We have enough for our next project. Right. So we have a savings there as well. So some of that renovation, that is going to roll over. Full rollover. So,
yep.
Okay. This is what it looks like now. I don't know if you folks have seen my Instagram or my Twitter or TikTok or whatever I've been posting on. But the cabinets are original cabinets. We painted them, put new hardware. We staged. So the staging brings the house to life fully. You can see the front of the house. There's no dog poop. We ripped up the carpet. We put new carpet in. Ripped up the floor. Thanks, Eddie. Ripped up the floor, put new flooring in.
Thank you, man.
Painted the door, painted the walls, patch and paint pretty much, right? So it's not like we did a ton of work. This was 30 days. But here's the key. When we got this, our original listing price was going to be $199,000, right? $199 is kind of like a sweet spot in our market. Perfect beginner home. After getting it staged and getting it finished, I've had several people walk the property and everybody's in the belief like you would be listing at 199 would be crazy. Right? The call we had today was, hey, you should probably list at 215, 224, or 235. Right? So we're gonna hit them right in the middle at 224. That's gonna give us a projected profit of $105,000 in 30 days. Okay. So can you do this? 100%.
So pretty good internal rate of return.
Yeah. Yeah, it pretty much doubled. I mean, it's an infinite return, honestly.
Yeah, 100%.
So can you do this in your market? 100%. You have to buy it right. right? Now, a six-figure flip is not an everyday thing. You got to be a pro at this. You got to have the connections. There's a lot you have to know. But a $20,000, $50,000 flip, you can find those, right? 20 to 50 in 30 days, you can do it. I don't doubt it could be done. Um, the key is, do you have the wherewithal to actually do it? Right? Go based on the principles that we provided. You can. 100% believe you can.
We'll go back. For this, so we purchased this. It was seller financing, no money down, no payments, no interest for 90 days, right? So as long as we sell this house before
April.
the first part of May, end of April, something like that, like we'll never make a payment. So that 80,000, we haven't paid that yet, but that's fine, right? That's why our cash to close was $2,000. The labor, like getting the timeline and stuff like that, like we worked really, really well with a guy that was able to do a lot of different things. He fell sick, right?
Yep.
So having the connection with him, talking with him on a daily basis, telling him like, hey, we're falling a little bit behind, right? Putting pressure on him to meet his deadline made him decide that he wanted to bring his son in. And thank goodness he did, because had he not brought anybody else in, we'd probably still be a week out from finishing. The guy just got out of the hospital today.
Yeah, we probably would have been about 2.5 weeks out from him finishing. His son actually helped him save the project, and currently his son is working with us on another project.
Yep.
So that's the beauty of it.
That's it.
Should be one more.
Yep.
So when you're buying, you have to buy right. Have to buy with the vision in the beginning, know who your end client is. Bring a wow factor, right? So when you're doing these fix and flips, what's going to wow people, right? The staging is the wow on this one, right? The staging took it from just a regular house to like, wow, I could live here. I can look at the front door, like I can envision myself walking through that front door, right? And I love everything that's beyond it. Staying on track with your timeline, like Seth mentioned, our contractor fell ill, but we were able to keep the contractor on time, especially since he brought his son in. We talked to him. I talked to him many a time when he was in the hospital, just to make sure. He called me, I call him, and we still have a continued relationship with him on our next project. So we're still locked in with them. And it's not just him; it's other contractors. You know, you might be your cleaner, it might be your person who does your staging, it might be your electrician or your HVAC person. Keeping them in the loop, one, you're paying them, but it also brings value to you as a whole too. So making sure you keep them in the loop is very, very important.
We also picked up 2 new contractors on this job. We picked up a new flooring guy.
Yeah.
So we had a big box company come in and do the carpet on the upstairs. But we talked to the installer, right? The installer's happy to work on the weekends and do stuff at a better rate, because we don't have to pay the overhead to him if it's on the side and things of that nature. So picked up a great guy. We saw his work, right? He did really good work. So we're happy to do it. We also picked up a glass guy as well.
Yeah.
So we got a bid on our next project on some windows, and it was probably, as far as for the quality of work along with the price, probably one of the best in the area.
And that's what it is. We just pick up those relationships with every project. Okay. Well, if you guys haven't joined our inner circle every Wednesday, we're gonna have our call. I can't wait to hear from the rest of you tomorrow. We know it's short, a couple people. We'll get our inner circle call tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We talk to you guys directly to make sure and hear about what you have going on in your real estate business. So I love the inner circle for that. You guys keep me motivated. So happy to hear from you folks on that end of things. Cool. Seth quote. Oh, next Tuesday.
Week. Yeah.
Scaling from 1 rent to the 10, what changes? I know some people want their first one, or they want their 10th one, or they want their 50th one. How do you change? What changes have to occur to get you to that scale? So I'll be happy to share some of that, especially some points of what I did and how I grew from my scale. So Happy to share that.
It's where a lot of businesses fail, just businesses in general, right? Going from that small mom and pop and then want to expand. I know in my contracting business, if I wasn't there on site, right, it was a big problem for me when I was young and dumb and doing it that way. So a lot of people fail in that scale from that 1 to 10. The 10 to 100 is pretty easy, right? It's the 1 to 10, getting the processes in place and stuff like that. So it should be a good episode.
Awesome.
The key to flipping houses is buying right, not hoping the market's going to save you. Dan Merrill.
Awesome. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's stop the. We appreciate everybody tuning in, and we will see Inner Circle. We'll see you tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks, guys.
All right, guys.